Good Sunday evening, everyone. This is Mitch. Hope you guys have been enjoying your weekend and staying safe. Ongoing severe weather going on right now. So I want to remind you guys, if y'all want to know really what's going on right now, there's a lot of great people who do what I do with the weather on YouTube. Check out their live streams. There's a lot of people live streaming right now. So if you really want to know up to date with what's going on, check that out. But in my video tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to begin to break down what's going on towards the end of the work week. There's starting to become a little weather chatter about it, and I believe it's warranted. There's going to be an impactful system. I really do think so, with a pattern-changing cold front that drops a piece of energy down. Then it's going to probably try to link up with another piece of energy to the south, the southern stream. And there could be the potential for maybe even a winter storm, an impactful storm just in general. So that's what we're going to break down. We're going to break down what we know about this, because obviously we're still several days out, but we're kind of in the range where it's definitely warranted to talk about. So that's what we're going to do. If you guys have not subscribed, definitely consider doing that. It goes a long way. Like the video if you like it. I appreciate the amazing support. Hit me up on my social media links over there. It's a great way to stay up to date with the latest and greatest. If you guys got anything I can pray about, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over them. It gives others an opportunity to do so too. So I want to talk briefly about what's going on over the next 24 hours. If you don't want to hear about that, skip through it. But this will be an impactful event tomorrow. I don't think it'll be near as impactful as the one going on right now and the one that happened yesterday. But there is a slight risk for, I would say the risk level is really for damaging winds. But there will be an isolated tornado threat, 2% risk in this range right here. But I really think the storms are going to be more congealed together, more of a line of storms. That's why the damaging wind threat is high. This includes Nashville, Tennessee, Chattanooga, Birmingham. This includes all the way up to Charleston, West Virginia, all the way into areas of the Mid-Atlantic and the Ohio Valley. So be safe tomorrow. I don't think it's going to be a super active day, but there is going to be some storms around. What's going on over the next 12 hours is, let's see if I can get some updated information. It is just not updating for me right now. So I have to look at 17Z as the HRRR model. Tropical Tidbits is having a little bit of trouble this afternoon. I think Radar Scope was also. But over the night, tonight, an area of rain and snow will move into areas of northern Missouri. In fact, it's already moving into the state now. Southern Iowa, or areas of Iowa will see some snow. Some of the same areas that just saw severe weather yesterday evening will see snow tonight. And this will move and get very close to Chicago. Chicago could really get some heavy snow well overnight tonight. But y'all are going to be right on the line of rain and snow. But I do think y'all will see a little bit of snow tonight for sure, especially north of town. As far as what snowfall accumulations per the National Weather Service is showing, just north of Chicago, maybe a few inches of snow. This won't be a high-impact event, but basically, wherever you're at in this region in blue, a few inches of snow is possible, which is ain't unheard of for early March. It still snows up here quite frequently in March. Winter is definitely not over in this neck of the woods. Quick-moving system. And we'll drop a little bit of snow. So let's begin to talk about what is going on with our system as we near the end of the work week. So stick with me. I'm going to show all the the models that are showing snow, and I know that's what a lot of people want to see. But let's talk about the cold air that's going to drop down with it. So starting tomorrow evening, this trough that's kind of been sagging to the southeast will begin to stall out. Will cool probably most people down across the eastern U.S. and central U.S., but nothing crazy as far as really cold air. As we're getting into Wednesday afternoon, Arctic air begins to drop down to the north central U.S. and to the upper Midwest pretty much, and this Arctic boundary begins to sag south. And as I stop it here for Thursday afternoon, you got part of Texas below freezing, and then other areas of Texas in the 70s. This isn't unheard of. It happens, seems like it's done happened about 5 or 6 times this winter so far, where you have a crazy Arctic boundary. It drops down. And really, the video I made a few days back, it was looking much more substantial with this cold push of air. But that might not matter. It might be good enough to throw enough cold air into some pieces of energy and cause a widespread winter storm for certain areas. I'm going to talk about that coming up. Going through here in town, we're getting into Friday morning. This Arctic boundary continues to fly across the eastern U.S., the Ohio Valley, the deep south, the mid-south. And Arctic air starts to spill in. And this is when we start to watch for any kind of winter weather. Look how cold it is showing up in Missouri. And this is the 12Z, but don't focus too much on 12Z, 18Z. It doesn't really matter at this point. It will start to matter here in the next 48 hours, though. But it really shows a cold front pushing through. In general, as far as temperatures, expect a much chillier weekend. We're getting into, this is, Saturday afternoon potential high temperatures. I mean, look at this, well below freezing for areas of the Ohio Valley. Highs potentially only in the 40s in the southeast and the deep south. It is not going to be anything like this weekend. It really isn't. And what you got going on here, basically in general, is you got that southeast ridge trying to flex over the southeast over through about midweek, and then the troughing sets up. This blue, these lines kind of bowing down. This is the troughing. That is the cold front. Think trough, cold front. When I say trough, I'm meaning cold front. This begins to nudge this ridge on out of here, and then you start to have this trough, this cold front that starts to wedge in here and brings below average temperatures into the central and eastern parts of the U.S. as we're getting into our Friday and over the weekend, and it'll just be flat out cold. It'll be right back to winter next weekend as we're entering our second full weekend of March. So let's check out what's going on here. And, you know, in general, the severe weather is going to cut off because these are dew points, not temperatures. And look how all the stable air, when you have dew points below 50, the severe weather pretty much cuts off. And you have pretty much the Arctic dry air mass that moves throughout the lower 48 as we're getting to the latter part of this coming week. And then by the time you get into the weekend, I mean, everybody, even all the way down to Florida, has dew points into the 20s. And you just got dry, Arctic, stable air in place with no severe weather to worry about after probably midweek this week. So, what is the GFS showing? What is the craziness it's showing? Well, the latest GFS, let's get going through in time. First off, as we're getting into overnight Tuesday into Wednesday morning, this could be a quick hitting system for the mid-Atlantic. Is it going to be cold enough? It's been very warm in these areas, but we're watching a quick hitting area that could see a little bit of snow. It's going to bring some welcome rain for the Carolinas and the southern areas, the southeast basically in general. But this could be a quick-hitting snow event. You know, Washington, D.C., watch out Maryland, areas of Delaware, New Jersey. I don't think it gets north enough for areas like Boston and places, and maybe New York City. But there's could be a little bit of snow. Some certain areas could see some accumulations off that. We have to get about, I would say, another 24 hours, and let's see what that looks like. But this is really what we're watching here. Some rain, some moisture starts to move through Thursday evening, and then we're watching the cold front. There's a piece of energy associated with this Arctic front that begins to drop down. And as it does, it tries to link up with a southern stream piece of energy. You have a low pressure that develops. This quickly becomes positively tilted, then has more of a neutral tilt. Then it becomes negatively tilted. And then look at this. As we're getting into, this was valid for Friday evening. All-out snow falling in Arkansas. I mean, Arkansas has been the epicenter for some crazy weather as of late. You got snow in the Quad States region, a band of snow into Ohio Valley as you're getting into this Friday evening. Low pressure continues to ride through. Nothing but heavy rain for areas of the southeast. Watch out Florida for severe weather if you have this kind of track, but, you know, it's kind of far out to know that. But in general, I mean, let's go on and get a little bit closer here. Let's go on and speed this up. In general, look what the GFS. And this is for basically the wee hours of the morning this Saturday morning. And back it up a little bit. Look at the heavy snow in Memphis. Look at the heavy snow in western Tennessee and Kentucky, western Kentucky. And we keep this going here. It brings a wintry mix, snow all the way into Nashville. It's bringing snow all the way deep into areas of Alabama and Mississippi. This keeps going. In the Arctic area, it looks like an antifront kind of deal, where you basically have cold air chasing moisture. But this works out west of the Appalachian Mountains a lot of times. But this low pressure is developing, and you're seeing multiple ones. But, you know, don't focus too much on that. But this would bring a massive, I'm not going to use the word massive, but this would bring a big snowstorm for Ohio, West Virginia, areas of Virginia, the mountains of West Virginia, the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee. Northeast Tennessee would get hit hard with something like this. Northern Georgia would see snow with something like this. This moves on out, and it actually is too little too late for areas along the I-95 corridor in New England, but y'all could even eventually switch to all snow. But this looks like an impactful event that lasts anywhere from Friday all the way through Saturday. This is for Saturday morning, snowing very heavily in areas of the Ohio Valley, areas of the Mid-South, and all the way down into Alabama and Georgia. This isn't a forecast. It's just showing something that could happen. It even shows snow in North Carolina, the Delmarva area, Washington, D.C. It's just something to watch for now. The European is a little different. You get this rolling here, and here's the system right here. It cuts the low pressure much quicker. Therefore, it probably has the energy phasing faster. Therefore, low pressure flies over Mississippi, then Tennessee, You got it. With something like this, you would watch for severe weather in this area, but we're not going to focus too much on that right now. But in general, look at the rain. Basically, the low pressure is cutting much further west, which means areas further northwest see the heaviest snow. So therefore, areas in the western Ohio Valley see the snow as they're getting into Friday evening. You're getting an overnight Friday into Saturday. You got heavy snow in the same areas that have seemed like they've got it the last several weeks. But this would still bring snow for areas like Memphis, the Quad States region. Watch out for icing. Watch out for a wintry mix. And in general, just don't focus too much on what it's showing right now, but the potential here. Then there's another secondary low pressure develops off the Euro. You watch that. What happens with that? But in general, northwest flow kicks up for everybody in the mountains of West Virginia, Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, regardless of how the low pressure works out. So you're looking at this a little bit closer up what the Euro is showing, and we're going through here in time. The Euro wants to bring freezing rain, some snow, wintry weather in general, all the way into Texas, very close to Dallas. As we're getting into our Friday morning, you have a band of wintry weather developing in Missouri, areas of Arkansas, and turns out to an all-out snowstorm for Missouri as we're getting into Friday evening. Illinois seeing snow from this. And here's the low pressure, cold air is right here. This is a pretty big system, pretty impactful weather system, But, it's hard that the details are just not there. The specifics aren't. But as you can tell, the Euro and the GFS have a storm, and the Canadian does too. And we'll take a look at the Canadian as we're going through in time. Remember, watch this system midweek. This is only about 48, 72 hours out. Watch that system too, but I don't think that's going to be impactful regardless. Very impactful at least. But the Canadian kind of takes a track that the European does. It has the low pressure developing and cutting much further west than the GFS, and pretty much shows a substantial winter storm for maybe far northwest Arkansas, areas of Missouri, Illinois, maybe Indiana, and the western areas of the Ohio Valley in general. But then it has the cold air filtering in and backside snow as far south as Mississippi and Alabama. So, like I said, you're not going to have concrete model agreements this far out. But the GFS, remember, this is 10-to-1 ratio, but GFS always overdoes snowfall totals, but shows the snow potential all the way down into Alabama, Mississippi. But don't look at this as this is going to happen, guys. We just don't know the fine specifics and the details with this. But the GFS wants most of the frozen precipitation to fall in this area. Ignore this. This is what's going on over the next 24 hours. But, looking here, you see where the axis of heavier frozen precipitation is, right into here from the GFS. The European is a little bit different. You're going through here in time. The European has it much further west. Like I just showed you guys, where it has the low pressure tracking more west. So you have snow showing up in really Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana. And you don't really have all them crazy snowfall totals showing up in Kentucky or anything. I know I don't have it shown on the screen, but it doesn't really show anything for areas that the GFS was showing. So in general, you look at the GFS ensembles, and it tells the story right here. And this goes all the way out until about next Monday evening, so about 8 days out. It shows the potential for snow and frozen precipitation as far south as Tennessee. I think Tennessee, as far as the most furthest southern state, is probably the best, most furthest southern state to get winter weather, if that makes any sense. I had a little bit of a tongue twister going on there. But Arkansas, Tennessee, as far as the most south state being affected by winter weather with this system, I think that is the highest chance. Obviously, you get further north and northeast, then the chances go up a little bit more. North Carolina, I don't know. We got to watch. Just got to watch. This might be rain changing into a little backside snow, but there's so many details we just don't know yet. And I know I'll say that 100 more times over the next probably 48 hours until we have more details. But this is probably going to be an impactful system for somebody, and it's going to be a pretty impressive late winter snowstorm, I think, for a lot of people. But we'll have to see how it pans out. But in general, this is what you got going on. It's a pretty simple setup. Obviously, no setup is really simple in the weather world, but you got this piece of energy associated with this cold front dropping down, and then you got this piece of energy. Watch how they phase. And this is the GFS. It's the most aggressive run kind of as far as more eastern areas. Watch how they phase together. They phase together around overnight Friday into Saturday morning, and when they do, it becomes neutrally tilted, then it becomes negatively tilted. And when these systems become negatively tilted, that's when you have a powerful system with incredible dynamics. And typically they overperform on whatever they got going on. You saw the system in Iowa. I feel like that was a good example. That system became negatively tilted, but it was kind of a small, potent system, but it overperformed with tornadoes. It was kind of the same situation that happened on January 3rd here in the Carolinas and Tennessee. That system trended much more potent under about 48 hours, and it ended up causing severe weather for certain areas and then heavy snow about 200 miles away from the severe weather. So the dynamics with negatively tilted troughs are impressive, and we have to watch out how these unfold here. But in general, here's a closer look at it, becoming negatively tilted on the GFS around Saturday afternoon. We just have to watch what's going to happen here. But that's all I got, guys. I know there's the specifics just aren't there, but they're going to become much clearer over the next 48 to 72 hours. So I do think winter's not over. And even the cold air behind this is going to shock a lot of people, I think, who, for whatever reason, might think that spring was here to stay. March is always a big transition month, even for areas really further south. You normally don't make it just all of a sudden transition to spring unless you're kind of in Florida. But even then, cold fronts can make it all the way to the south tip of Florida into March. But that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless everybody. I'll have y'all video in the morning, but have a great start to your week. Stay safe out there, and God bless everybody.